ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ वर्स् 62 जीवात्मनिर्गमे देह मरणस्यात्र दर्शनात् देहातिरिक्त एवात्मा इत्याहुर्लोकायताः परे. So Vidyaranya has completed this Tvam-pada Viveka with the verse 57 by pointing out that this Tvam Padartha or individual is a mixture of two parts, and one is a Adhara Chaitanyam and other is a Abhasa Chaitanyam, or you can call it's a mixture of Kutastha and Jiva. Individual is a mixture of Kutastha and Jiva, or individual is a mixture of Swayam and Aham. Either way you can say. And well, with this Vidyaranya has made Tvam-pada ready by showing it's a mixture. He has made Tvam-pada ready for Mahavakya Vichara. In Mahavakya it is Tat and Tvam. So Tvam-pada is a mixture, and a mixture of two things in which one is unreal, one is real. That's more important. But why it is required for Mahavakya Vichara? Well, when we know this Tvam-pada, which is a mixture of a Satyam Kutastha Chaitanyam and Mithya Abhasa Chaitanyam or Mithya Jiva, etc., later we can apply Bhagatyaga Lakshana. Definitely. Bhagatyaga Lakshana has to be employed when you know the mixture is a mixture of real and unreal. Right? Both the things are real. You cannot remove. Bhagatyaga, Bhagasya Tyaga. Bhaga means a part. A part of the mixture has to be removed. Tyaga has to be given up, has to be negated rather. From the individual, from this Tvam-pada, Tvam-padartha basically, from the meaning of the Tvam-pada, from the direct meaning of the Tvam-pada. The direct meaning of Tvam-pada for everybody in this world is this individual. But that individual is a mixture, first thing. And it's a mixture of two things, which is one in which one is real and the other is unreal. Second thing. Third thing, that what is unreal has to be negated. For what? For basically to equate in Mahavakya with a Tat-pada. Because what is real, that is Adhara Chaitanyam at the micro level and at the macro level, Adhara Chaitanyam is one alone. And therefore definitely to equate Tat and Tvam by Lakshana, Bhagatyaga Lakshana, and to arrive at that implied meaning, well, definitely you have to make it ready for this Tvam-padartha. I mean Tvam-pada. With the analysis of Tvam-pada, basically you keep ready Tvam-pada to equate with Tat-pada in Mahavakya. So, otherwise this Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam will not be possible. Anyway, so with verse 57, this main task is over. Still Vidyaranya continues this with analysis of Tvam-pada, And then, well, up to, we have to go up to verse 103, right? That this is a topic, Tvam-pada analysis. So with verse 57 it is over, Tvam-pada analysis as such is over. Then what you will do with this all verses now? So all later verses is basically dealing with varieties of the confusions done by ordinary people and literary people also, that is philosophers. I mean, so these confusions are not, due to this confusion, they are not able to differentiate that it's a mixture, and also it's a mixture of real and unreal, or it's a dhyasa, etc. Well, they don't understand. This is a confusion. So they mix up this mithya, and mithya appears as a satyam. That's how every individual says. A person, ignorant person, he may be a philosopher or he may be a lay person. Every one of us, every one of them says what? That I am Jiva is a reality. In fact, I am Jiva is a mithya thing. And whenever mithya thing is there, right there must be Satyam. And that Satyam is a Kutastha Chaitanya. But so then there must be a mixture of Kutastha and Jiva. Yeah, that's a mixture. So that all thing is included in that. So it's a mixture. That's the first objective in a Tvam-pada analysis. Then it's a mixture of Satyam and Mithya. There is Adhyasa that also has to be understood. And then third thing is, what is Mithya has to be negated. It's a common sense. What is Mithya should be negated. In fact, understanding of Mithya itself is a dropping of that Mithya thing. If once you understand it is Mithya, it is to be dropped. I need not have to say that now you have understood Mithya Sarpa, and therefore please don't look upon this Sarpa as real. I need not have to say anything. So once it is understood as a Mithya, from your mind it is dropped. Anyway, so Mithya, in absence of this knowledge or analysis of Tvam-pada, well, basically what is Mithya is understood as a Satyam. And that is what in example also I have shown you, and in our original case also I have shown you, that there is a snake. In the isness belongs to the Satya. Isness is a Satyamsha. In fact, isness means reality. Isness is a reality. That's all. Isness is a reality. That reality pervades everywhere. Isness pervades entire creation. In fact, isness pervades ignorance. Isness pervades even the absence. There is absence. Isness pervades absence also. Please understand. So, isness is the reality. That is the all-pervading thing, and that we call it as a Sat or Satyam, whatever. Anyway, so isness belongs to rope. There is a snake, and then isness belongs to rope, because in that example, rope is a reality. And but we transfer that reality to unreal snake, and therefore there is snake. So snake becomes real for us. This is called Satyanurte Mithunikaranam. This is called a superimposition, which is a product of avidya. If avidya is there, then only this thing will occur. And therefore this kind of a mixing up of things takes place due to avidya. And then the snake gets reality. Snake is born is a vikshepa, but snake which is born is mithya or is adhyasa. How will you know? So there is a process of mithunikaranam. There's a mixing up of satyam and mithya. I mean, in which the transference of the attributes from the rope to the snake happens. And also transference of the attributes of the snake goes to the rope also. And that's how that adhyasa, sometimes we call tadatmya adhyasa, sometimes we call anyonya adhyasa, etc. also. Anyway, so this is regarding this Tvam-pada analysis. And once this satyatvam of adhishthanam goes to this the vikshepa, definitely that becomes real. So same way here in our case also, that this body, etc., body, mind and the senses and all this appear satyam. And but they are sentient, yeah. So that Chidavasa also is there in every one of them. That also has borrowed reality. Body, etc. also has a borrowed reality. And it's all due to this Adhisthana Kutastha Chaitanyam. Well, it is unveiled, it is covered, it's covered, and therefore, the Adhyasa takes place. The reality of the Kutastha Chaitanyam has gone to the individual or a jiva, etc., to the body, mind, sense complex, and and therefore I say I am a body. That's the reality. I am mind, I am senses. That's how we know. A layperson knows this much. Well, because the Kutastha is covered. The nature of Kutastha has been covered due to avidya, called avaranam, and then adhyasa takes place. The reality of the Kutastha goes to the Chidabhasa, and that alone is a reality, or jiva, etc. That alone is a reality for me, and so I say I am body, mind, etc. And this is how the philosophers, different philosophers, have this kind of a wrong conclusions regarding the Atma. And so, and that has been discussed now from verse number 58 onwards. And so, and the first one we discussed from verse 60, and in verse number 60 and 61 we discussed Dehatmavadaha. Dehatmavada, Vadaha means this philosophy, a particular opinion. Well, after long deliberation, they arrived that this body alone is definitely is Atma. There is no other. There is there is no other Atma other than this body. Anyway, so that in verse 60 and 61 we discussed that thing. Then in verse 62, now we come to the next grade of Charvaka. That is, Charvaka means this Dehatmavadi only. So this is another next grade of Charvaka, well, a little better one. He says physical body cannot be the Atma, cannot be the individual. There must be some other principle which makes body live, sentient. And when that goes away, well, body becomes dead. So basically, it's like a fan. No, it is moving. So it moves. Suppose the movement of the fan is natural to the fan. Basically, it's intrinsic to the fan. Well, then it keeps moving. It should keep on moving. But it sometimes stops. And therefore, it is not an intrinsic nature. The movement in the fan is not intrinsic. There must be other factor. Because of that, the fan moves. And that is how we say electricity, etc. is because of that only the fan moves. If the movement, etc. is an intrinsic to the fan, there will not be any electricity charges, right? Because electricity is not consumed. Fan has its nature to move, and so that's how it keeps moving. But we know due to electricity it moves. That's how we have some charges to pay also for electricity. Same way here. This body, etc., they are like fan, and they keep moving. They are sentient, etc. And that is not due to their own sentiency. That the consciousness which is there, or sentiency, or their life, etc., is there in this body, mind, sense complex. It's not due to on its own. It's not an intrinsic nature. So don't say this body is Atma, etc. Atma means a consciousness. And therefore, if body is Atma, body is sentient on its own, don't say that. Because body becomes insentient also. It becomes dead. If body by nature, by intrinsic nature, if it is a sentient or a consciousness, so body is Atma, then it should be sentient all the time because it's intrinsic. But like the fan, sometimes it moves, sometimes it doesn't move. Therefore, there must be some other factor which makes the fan move. Same way here, the sentiency, sometimes body is sentient, sometimes body is not sentient. At the time of after the death, well, it becomes insentient. That shows that there is some other factor other than the body which is responsible for sentiency, and well, that is the Atma. And therefore, so there is some mysterious factor. Now we have to add that. There is some mysterious factor because of which, well, there is a sentiency. And science, why mysterious? Because science is not able to know what is that factor. Science can't know. But therefore, if science doesn't know, science does not have a proof of a sentiency, etc. Well, other than, means distinct from the body, then well, definitely it is non-existent. Whatever science cannot prove is non-existent. That's how somebody said very beautifully, absence of a proof is not a proof of an absence. Absence of a proof is not a proof of an absence. And therefore, if science cannot prove this mysterious principle which is distinct from the body, then science says there is no consciousness other than the body. Well, that's too much to say for a scientist. It's a foolishness, right? Because you don't have an instruments to understand that there is some distinct principle other than the body to make the body sentient. You cannot say that there is no consciousness other than this body. It is just a part of the body, or it's a product of the body, or it is the property of the body. You can't say, because you don't have instrument. It is like what, a blind man says, because I don't experience there is any color, and therefore there is no color in this world. It is too much to say. You should say that you do not have any instruments to prove the colors. It does not mean that the color is non-existence. You don't have a proof for basically to prove the colors. I mean, you cannot prove the colors because you don't have instruments. Since you cannot experience this color, it does not mean the color is absent. So this is too much to say for a science that there is no consciousness other than this body. And therefore, you will require another pramana. You require instruments. And unfortunately, science does not have any instruments to prove the consciousness, and they will never have. Even consider from today to the another 2000 years of the progress of science, they cannot prove Chidabhasa. Where is the question of a consciousness? They cannot prove Chidabhasa itself, because that is not in their realm. They don't have the instruments. And because why? Because consciousness, nature of consciousness is such which will never become an object. And therefore, a consciousness is not an object to be seen under a microscope or a telescope or anything. Why telescope? Because it is all pervading, right? So you require a telescope to see everywhere consciousness. It is not available. By nature it is. How can you say nature is that it will never become an object? Whole Shastra talks about it. Ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, arasam, nityam, agandhavat. And therefore, whatever they do, they can never arrive at the consciousness distinct from the body. But therefore, there is no consciousness to say that. It's that daring on the part of science is too much. It's too much. The genuine scientists would not. They say, we don't have instruments to prove that the consciousness is distinct from body. We don't have instruments. That he is a genuine scientist. But since since science cannot prove, we don't have instruments, and therefore there is no consciousness distinct from the body. It is too much. Absence of proof is not a proof of absence. That's how I say. Absence of proof, I am again repeating because sometimes you may feel what he is saying. Absence of proof is not a proof of absence. So since I cannot prove, and therefore there is that object of proof, it is not there at all. Don't say that. You say, I don't have instruments. And many scientists are there, they admit that, this particular mysterious, that's how I say mysterious. It's a mysterious principle which makes the body sentient, and we don't have instruments to prove it. Anyway, so these Charvakas, is they better compared to say the body is Atma, compared to that these Charvakas are better. They say there is some principle. What is that principle? Jivatma. Jivatma nirgame. There is a mysterious factor which is different from the body, cannot be proved by the science, and when it goes out, then definitely the body loses the sentiency. Body becomes dead. So that says, Deha maranasya darshanat. Dehe vyatiriktaha atma asti. Dehe maranasya darshanat. When Jivatma goes out of the body, there is a death of the body, and therefore there is a principle other than the body responsible for the body to be sentient. And so, then that is how I will call this? These philosophers as Charvakas. They are our friends. No. Why? What is the nature of Jivatma? If you ask them, they can't say. Why? So why? Because that subtle body is there, and all this and then Karana Sharinam is there. They also can arrive at. They will never accept. They will never accept subtle body. They will never accept Karana Sharinam. They will never accept that Sachidananda Atma, due to which this Chidabhasa or Jiva is there. And therefore, they can't accept. Because for them, Pratyaksha is a Pramana. Pratyaksha is a Pramana. And Pratyaksha, then Chidabhasa Jivatma cannot be Pratyaksha. Then how are they accepting this Jivatma? Only thing is Pratyaksha is that body is sentient, is Pratyaksha. Body becomes insentient, dead, is also Pratyaksha. And that's enough. That's enough. So there is a principle which makes body sentient. If body by nature is sentient, Atma, consciousness, well, in that case, it will never become insentient. What is the nature of a thing cannot be given up. And therefore, if sometime fan moves and sometime does not move, there must be some principle other than the fan to make the fan move. And same way here. And therefore, basically, some principle is there, mysterious principle is there, which makes body sentient. This much they accept. But that Jivatma means subtle body, and subtle body goes out, and then there is a Chidava. They will not accept. They will not accept. And then why this Jivatma at all, this Chidabhasa? That Chidabhasa means Chit must be there, Satchidananda Atma must be there, Kutastha must be there. Oh, it is too much. He said, don't talk about all this. This is all your speculation. Subtle body and this and that. So this much. Please understand why I am calling this Charvaka. They will not accept subtle body because it will never become an object of perception. Where is the talk? Then there is no question of talking about the causal body and then Satchidananda Atma. Nothing is available for perception, right? And for them, perception alone is a pramana. And therefore, they will not accept all this. But this much they understand from their perception that body is sentient right now, body becomes insentient later, or dead later. Right now it is alive, and therefore, basically, there must be a distinct principle which makes body sentient. And so, Pare Lokayata, they are advanced group of Charvakas. Lokayata means Charvakas. So, this is how it has been said. Now, let's go to verse number 63. Pratyakshatvena vimata ahandhirdehatire gamayet indriyatmanam vachmi ityadi prayogatah. So basically, now we have another group of Charvakas. They are called Indriyatmavadi. First, verse number 60, 61 we discussed Dehatmavadi. Deha is Atma who believes like that. They have a philosophy for that. Those Charvakas are called Dehatmavadi. Now verse number 63 and 64, it discusses this Indriya Atmavadi. Indriya is Atma. So they claim this sense organs is Atma, other than the body, naturally. Body is not Atma. They are better. They say sense organs are the Atma. And so we are discussing right now. Now we will discuss this particular portion. So here it says, Pratyakshatvena abhimata ahandhihi dehati rekinam. So, dehati rekinam, other than the body, distinct from the body, ahandhihi pratyakshatvena abhimataha. Because ahandhihi, that I notion, I is used, I sense, I notion is used with what? With sense organs. Like I see, I walk, I talk, I hear, I touch. So, seeing, hearing, talking, all this is possible due to sense organs. But then there is a correlationship with the I. I see, I walk, I talk, I hear. Means I means Atma. And it goes with this hearing, talking, etc. all this. And that's due to the senses. And therefore Atma and sense organs are equated. And therefore, sense organs are the Atma. That's how they say. Because there is a Samanadhikaranya Prayoga. So, Samanadhi, I and this here, or I and talk, both refer to a one entity. And that is how we can say, since they are equated. So, That is how we are able to say that Indriya is Atma. So here Vidyaranya says, Vachmi ityadi prayogatah. Vachmi. Vachmi. So I speak. Vachmi means I speak. Like Gachami. I go. So Vachmi means I speak. Vach dhatu is there. Vach dhatu means to speak. Vachmi. So Uttam Purushek Vachanam. So I speak. Such kind of a usage. Ityadi prayogata. Such usages are there. That shows that I is identified with the organs of speech. And here it is Karmendriya. Vachmi means it's just a referring to Karmendriya. But you can take even Jnanendriya also by Upalakshana. So from such usage, Pratyakshatvena aham dihi means notion of I is abhimataha, which is looked upon, considered, pratyakshatvena. So this I notion has been looked upon, considered as every sense organ. And because of this notion of I, which is looked upon as with the sense organs, we come to know what? Indriya Atmanam Gamayet. Well, such a usage reveals. Gamayet means Gnapayet, Bodhayet. Such a usage reveals. Or such a usage will make us know. Please understand this kind of a thing. Bodhayati and Bodhati. Janati and Gnapayati. These are all roots. One is a simpler root. Janati, Bodhati, etc. Means to know. Janati, he knows, etc. She knows, etc. But then Gnapayati means he makes the person know. Not he knows. He makes other to know that. So Gnapayati. So to reveal also you can say. Anyway, so this kind of a usage makes us know, or this kind of a usage reveals what? Indriya is Atma. Which kind of usage? Well, Vachmi, I speak. Adi. Adi Padat, you take anything now. I talk. Means definitely this usage also reveals what? Aham is equal to sense organs. I notion equal to sense organs. So, and that notion, so this is how we come to know. So Vidyaranya says, well, notion in the mind is recognized by this language called Vachmi, etc., Gachami, etc. I go, I walk, etc. So and then other usage also. I see, I hear, I talk, etc. All these usages reveal to us that I, that is Atma, and the sense organs are one alone. Who says this? Charvaka. What type of a Charvaka? Indriya Atmavadi. Indriya Atmavadi. Let's go to verse number 64. Vagadinam indriyanam kalah shruti shushruta tena chaitanyame tesham atmatvam tata evahi. So abhimatah in the previous verse means to consider. Sammatah. Abhimatah is equal to sammatah. Considered, looked upon, etc. Okay. Now in verse number 64. So same Purapakshi. This Indriya Atmavadi continues. So he reinforces his philosophy by answering a possible question. And question is from Vedantin to the Purapakshi. So we asked to him, you say sense organ is Atma, but sense organs are made up of Panchabhutas, you know. So, etesham akashasya rajashamsat vagindriyam sambhutam, etc. Akashasya rajashamsat from the element akasha, from the rajas aspect of the akasha, vagindriya sambhutam. This vagindriya, you said vachmi, I speak, and therefore that is Atma is a sense organ, vagindriya. But vagindriya is made up of actually from the element. Which element? From the akasha element. And which aspect? Rajas aspect. Where it has come, you know. I just remind you, it is in Tattva Bodha, right? Akashasya rajasamshad vagindriya sambhutam. And therefore, from the rajas aspect of the akasha, this vagindriya it is born. And therefore, all Panchabhuta, and why akasha? All Panchabhutas, varieties of these Panchabhutas out of their rajasamshas, from the rajasamshas of these elements, different karmendriyas are born. Same way jnanendriyas are born from the sattva aspect of the five elements. So ultimately, indriya cannot be atma because indriyas are born from the elements and elements are inert, achetana. And therefore whatever is born of these elements also must be achetana. And you say that is atma means chetana. How it is possible? We are asking to him. And so, and therefore you should not say, well, indriya is atma, etc. See, we have the explanation, right? We are asking him like that. We know why the senses, this jnanendriya and karmendriya which are sentient. We know. Sentience is due to chidavasa. Sentience can never be possible by chetan, by chit, by satchidananda atma, by kutastha. So this sentience in the subtle body is due to chidavasa. Because that's a medium and that is where consciousness gets reflected and therefore they become sentient. So, well, it's due to chidavasa only. But this kind of explanation he doesn't have. Well, is that all the senses are born of elements and they are achetanam, but they appear sentient and therefore there must be a reflection of the consciousness in them and it's called chidavasa, etc. That explanation he doesn't have. When he says this indriyas are atma, well, he says because indriyas are chetanam directly. We say indriyas are achetanam because of they are made up of elements. But they appear sentient. For that we have an answer and we have a model called chidabhasa. But they don't have. So he says, well, he says indriyas are chetanam. How can you say indriyas are chetanam? That, well, indriyas are atma, how can you say? Because he says, well, we hear in the Veda. Well, what you hear in the Veda? We hear in the Veda that these organs are fighting. Well, and the sense organs are fighting. And if they are fighting for the superiority, they must be all conscious entities, right? Like on parliament, there is a fight going on for supremacy, right? So, you're a Congress, whatever, your Congress, Senate, and our parliament. Yes, Swamiji, you have gone to India, so you will now say our India, and when you come to US, you say our US. What is the problem? Anyway, so this basically, when the fight is there, quarrel is there, it shows all our sentient entities. And therefore, well, Veda says that. Where? In which Veda? In Upanishad. Which Upanishad? Prashna Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, all talk about the fight, the quarrel between themselves for supremacy. And what is really supreme does not speak at all. He is just quiet. Like our speaker in the parliament. He is a supreme, but he does not speak. All these fellows, they keep on fighting inside, and this speaker is a silent. You should see sometime what is going on in parliament when there is a live session, etc. They send a live, they have a broadcast, live broadcast also. So the people in people of India will know what is going on in the parliament. You have sent them there and to work for them. But these people, anyway, so Prashna Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and even Chandogya, we hear this story, and story reveals that, well, they are fighting for supremacy. Ultimately, it's a story to prove the supremacy of the prana, ultimately. So each sense organs goes out for 1 year, thinking that without itself, this person will die. And he returns after 1 year, and he finds the person is alive, happily living, no problem at all. If eyes go away for 1 year and thinking that in my absence this person will die, and nothing happens that. It doesn't happen that way. And so when eyes return, he finds the person is happily living. And therefore the idea of a supremacy in the mind of eyes, well, just drop. It flattens. Or what you say, deflating or what? Anyway, so when prana goes away, when pranas just say bye-bye, it is not living. So when prana says bye-bye, tata, etc., and start packing and has come to the door from the room, and then all the sense organs and everything, the whole person is disturbed. And so prana is shreshta. So anyway, then all sense organs glorify prana. So Purvapakshi says, since this quarrel, etc., has been described in the Veda, indriyas are chetanam. Very simple. Like So unlike this, so if I mean the coral means that say sentience is there, and they are conscious and they are Atma. So unlike the chairs don't quarrel, but people quarrel for the chairs, and therefore so the quarrel is always between the people. So look at the shloka now. Vagadinam kalaha. So Vagadinam kalaha indriya. Vagadinam indriyanam kalaha shrutishu shrutaha. So Vag means this Vagindriya, etc., all of speech. Adi padat, you take all other. Shrutishu shrutaha, the quarrel, kalaha means a quarrel. We hear this, we hear this quarrel, or we see the quarrel which has been described in the Shruti. And if I give you a particular reference of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is 6.1, 7 to 14. 7 to 14, that's a section in which that has been described. 7 to 14 mantras, I mean. So 6th chapter, first section, and 7 to 14 mantras. And so, Tena, because of this reason, Etesham Chaitanyam, they are, Etesham, Indriyanam Chaitanyam Asti, they are sentient. So here he doesn't say why they are sentient, but we know, Purvapakshi doesn't know, but we know that due to Chidabhasa alone, they are sentient. Sentience in the body, sentience in the mind, sentience in the sense organs is due to reflection, because they themselves is mind, etc., that subtle body is a medium, and therefore there is a reflection, and when there is a reflection, definitely they become sentient. So it's due to reflected consciousness, Chidabhasa only. So Shrutisu kalaha shrutaha tena, because of that reason, etesham chaitanyam asti tataha evahi atmatvam. So we give a status of Atma to Indriyas due to this, because the Shruti talks about the quarrel in between the senses, and therefore they are sentient. Okay, let's go to verse 65. Hairanyagarbha pranatma vadinastveva muchire chakshuradyakshalopepi pranasatve tu jivati. Now verse number 65 and 66, Pranatmavada. See, please understand here, Vidyaranya just narrating Purvapakshas, right? Varieties of the philosopher he narrates. This type of people are there. He does not refute all of them. That is in the different granthas, different texts. Other than this, texts are there where elaborate discussion of every philosopher. And then there is a negation and also a refutation of that Purvapaksha also will be there. Here he is just narrating. Okay, now this verse 65 and 66, it talks about another philosopher called Pranatmavada. They are called Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha, Samashti Prana is called Hiranyagarbha, or Samashti Manaha is called Hiranyagarbha. And those who worship Hiranyagarbha are called Hiranyagarbha. Let's take Samashti Prana. So those who worship Prana, Samashti Prana, they are Hiranyagarbha. They think that is the Atma. Prana is Atma. So we call them such a philosopher. Again, he is a Charvaka only. There are varieties of the Charvakas. One is a Dehatmavadi, other is a Indriyatmavadi, third is a Pranatmavadi. So they argue to this Indriyatmavadis, where they say you are quoting that story of that quarrel of the senses in between there, but you read further in that story and you read the story completely. What has been told there? What has been told? That prana is the Shreshtham, prana is the supreme, because when the prana just said that okay, I am living, then the whole person is disturbed. Every sense organ as though is removed, pulled from the different golakas, and therefore prana is system, etc. Whereas other sense organs, when they go away from this golaka for 1 year, but in absence of that particular sense organ, still the person is alive. But when the prana starts pulling itself from the body, then all the organs, including mind also, are all pulled. And therefore prana is Shreshta, prana is supreme. So you should read that. You say Indriya is Atma, etc. But read further, then you will find prana is Atma actually. Prana is the supreme. Hairanya Garbhaha Pranatmavadinaha Evam Uchire. Uchire. Vach dhatu. I have just told you. Vach means to speak. This is a Uchire is a past tense. So because it's a story told in the Veda, so that's how a particular type of a past tense is used. That's called lit. Lit means paroksha bhutkal. Paroksha bhutkala means something happened in the past, remote past, like a history, etc. So for that you have to use this kind of a usage in a past tense, and that's called lit actually. It means paroksha bhutkala, remote past. Anyway, which we have not come across. Something which you have come across yesterday, well, that is also now past tense. But this is very recent, which you have come across, which you have seen, which you have experienced. But this is not you have experienced. But that's how. But Veda talks about it, and therefore they say uchire. Uchire means, well, Hiranya Garbhaha. These Pranatmavadis, they talk about that prana alone is a atma. Because in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, even if it has been shown that even if the sense organ don't function, but still the person is alive. And because every sense organ has gone away from this person for 1 year, and when they came back, there was a big welcome for them. But they realized that in absence of them, the person is able to function. This kind of thing can happen to us also. We feel we sustain everything. My whole family is sustained by me, Swamiji. If something happens to me, what will happen to them? Nothing happens. I tell you, nothing happens. Things will automatically settle down. Even the prime ministers all, when Indira Gandhi, was assassinated, we felt that what will happen now? Because this lady was so powerful. And she remained in power by hook and crook and whatnot. And so in absence of such a prime minister, what will happen now? This India will go in dark. Nothing happened. All our great Modi has come. Nothing happened. In fact, India is much, much better. I should not say here, but we are in a much better position. This is a person, a person in the family. Especially a man. He always feels like that. He has all this worry all the time. If I go away, Swamiji, if something happens to me, what will happen to my family? Nothing happens. That's a moral lesson to be learned from this story of this Upanishad. Every sense organ feels that they sustain the body. They sustain this person. And we go away 1 year and then let's see what happens. Nothing happened. They are welcome. Please come. And settle down in your home. Okay? So they are welcome by this person. So this is how it is. But when prana started just saying, okay, then I am going now, then the whole thing was different. And therefore, who sustains the person? Not the sense organ, but prana. And therefore, jivati, a person continues to live under one condition, prana sattve. When if prana is there, person continues to live. If sense organs live, still person is alive, and therefore even in coma, all other organs don't function. But even the mind doesn't function in the coma, but still person is alive. No one will dispose of his body, right? No one will dispose of the body. Just prana function, nothing else. No sense organ, no jnanendriyani, karmendriyani, mind they just don't function. Still you don't declare the person dead and dispose of the body. It may be 15 years, 20 years. One nurse in Bombay, I think KEM hospital, perhaps. And 4 decades, somebody tried to rape her, etc. Something happened in that hospital. She was a nurse. And and she, because of that person did some atrocity, and so she went into coma. 43 years she remained in coma. 43 years she lived, and the hospital staff took care of her in the same hospital for 43 years. You imagine. She recently died, before a few years only. So, if prana is there, prana sattve jivati, Vidyaranya says, if prana is there, you cannot dispose of his body. even if the person is in coma, and therefore prana is superior. In fact, even to the mind, because mind is not functioning. Therefore, let's dispose of. No, if prana is there, well, definitely the person is considered alive, etc. And so once prana goes away, if sense organs are intact, then still person is declared dead and his body is disposed of. Before disposing, well, definitely you take away, or organ donation, right? And so organs are intact, but prana goes away, you take away the organs because they are alive. I mean, they are there to make it function in other bodies, but the body is disposed of. Definitely it is disposed of. And therefore, prana sattve jivanam, prana bhave maranam. And tasmat prana alone is atma. Prana is the supreme. When prana is there, person is considered alive, sentient. When prana goes away, person is declared dead and he is disposed of. And therefore, prana is atma. Who says? This Charvaka. Tells to whom? Indriya Atma. You say Indriya Atma, Indriyas are Atma. Even your Indriyas are not functioning. Well, still the person is alive. And therefore, what makes person alive is this Atma. And therefore, definitely, the sentiency in the body is due to Atma. And that is Prana. Therefore, Indriya is not Atma, Prana is Atma. They are fighting inside. We are not saying, we will keep mum. We are not going to say anything here. Why Prana is also not Atma, we will not say anything. Well, some other Charvaka will take up the mic and will speak, and that will come now. So, and before that, we'll see one more verse. They sing, this Pranatmavadis sing the glory of Prana in this verse 66. And then verse 67 onwards, mind is Atma, etc. Such a philosopher who considers that, we will come. So, now let's see verse number 66. Prano jagarti suptepi प्राणशैष्ठ्यादिकं श्रुतं कोशः प्राणमयः सम्यक् विस्तरेण प्रपञ्चितः. Glory of prana is found throughout the Upanishad. In several Upanishad, this greatness of the prana is Shreshtatvam, means greatness. Greatness of the prana is talked about. Supte api prane jagarti. Supte api pranaha jagarti. Supte api pranaha jagarti. So even in deep sleep state, supte, so even in deep sleep state, prana does not sleep. Jagarti means jagrit dhatu is there in second conjugation, means to be awake. So jagarti means awake. Who is awake? Pranaha jagarti. So even in deep sleep state, all other things go to sleep, prana continues to function. So in deep sleep state, all organs are not functioning. I don't hear, I don't smell, I don't taste, I don't think. All karmendriyas, all types of mind, right? All types of mind, yeah. All these four. Mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. Even ahankara does not function. The very I sense, I thought also is not there. All go to sleep. And I'm not able to say in deep sleep state I am not prana, I am not a pramata, I am jiva, etc. But one thing continues to function there, and that is prana. And it is experienced by us also, by deep sleep state experience. We know this also. And so here it says, pranaha jagarti suptepi pranaha shaishthyadikam shrutam. Shrutam means the Shruti talks about this. What? The greatness of a prana. By what? This kind of a statement. Pranaha jagarti suptepi. So in Prashnopanishad, in the fourth Prashna and the third section, third mantra, in 4.3 this mantra is there. Pranagnaya eva etasmin pure jagarti. Pranagnaya eva etasmin pure jagarti. Etasmin pure means in this city called body, because this is a body is called city. Navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. In this body of 9 gates, well, etasmin pure pranaha jagarti. Prana keeps awake, not just awake. To be awake is one thing, but it functions. Prana keeps functioning even in the deep sleep state, when all other are absent. So breathing continues, digestion continues, circulation continues, right? It may happen that their function may slow down with the age. So digestion will be slower. Even when you get up, you won't feel hungry. But young people, when they go to the sleep, before that they have taken a good dinner. I mean, and when they wake up, they are ready for breakfast. So prana is functioning very well, and circulation goes on, and breathing continues, etc. and etc. I mean, the removal of waste also is ready, etc. So when he wakes up, he goes, etc. for that. Anyway, so all pranas, apana, prana, vyana, udana, samana, all are working. All the 5 functions of the prana continue, and therefore prana sashthyadikam shrutam, the superior of the prana over all of these 14 organs. Why 14? Total 19, right? And out of that, 5 pranas have a supremacy over other 14. Okay? And therefore, it has been told even in the Upanishad. Now, even in the sense, we have seen that story of that coral, of the sense organs, etc. In that story itself also, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also, the supremacy of the prana has been told. Not just supremacy, they talk about something else also, by which we consider the prana is supreme. They say pranaha shreshtaha, pranaha jeshtaha. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it has been told like that. So here Vidyaranya says prana shreshthyadika. Prana shreshtha means prana is a shreshtha, and adi. Adi means etc. Etc. means other glories are also there, and that is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad talks about jeshtatvam of a prana. Prana is the jeshtha. Prana is the firstborn. What is firstborn is definitely greater, and therefore, so it is a first faculty which comes into operation. And so when body is formed in the womb, that body becomes live gradually, definitely, and then other organs, etc. also then keep coming. So the body becomes in the womb, becomes alive due to prana. So prana has come first, and other organs, etc. comes later. That is the process in the birth of human being. And so definitely, so what is the first faculty found is this prana. That's called jeshtatvam. Jeshta means born first. So Shreshtatvam, supremacy is, that's okay, because when other organs are also don't function, what makes the body alive is this prana, and therefore prana is Atma. That is one thing. But Jeshtatvam also is that prana is first born, and then the body is alive, and then the sense organs, etc. are developing in the womb, and therefore that way, other glories are also there. Due to that, prana alone is Atma, not Indriya, etc. And the third reason also is given here. Pranamaya koshaha samyak vistarena prapanchitam. So, pranamaya koshaha prapanchitam. This, prana is Atma of an individual, is discussed. Pranamaya koshaha has been discussed where? In Taittiriya Upanishad. So, he quotes 3 things here. Prashnopanishad, and then Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Adipadat, you take Jeshtatvam, etc., and that quality of Jeshtatvam, etc., comes from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And the second line, Pranamaya Koshaha Prapanchitam, has been explained, Vistarena, very well explained. Where? In Taittiriya Upanishad. And therefore, Prana alone is Atma, because Shruti talks about the Jeshtatvam and Shreshtatvam, of a Prana, and therefore, definitely, Prana alone is a Atma. So this is how here it has been told. Now let's go to verse 67. Mana atmeti manyante upasana parajanaha pranasya bhoktruta spashta bhoktrutvam manasastataha. Verse 67 and 68 talks about another philosopher, Charvaka. Manatmavadaha, mind is Atma. First we talk Deha is Atma, one philosopher. Then we have seen that Prana is Atma. And now we are seeing mind is Atma. There are various philosophers. Say one Charvaka. Because when you say body, mind, sense complex, which is available for this pratyaksha, which you experience either as a Sakshi pratyaksha, because you are going to ask me, Swamiji, you say Indriya is a Atma, that's a pratyaksha for a Charvaka. Therefore, but then you, yesterday only you said the sense organs are not available for perception, they are all Atindriyas, and now you are saying that Indriya is a pratyaksha? Yeah, it's a Sakshi pratyaksha. So you directly experience, right, your sense organs, and therefore you need not have, sense organ is not perceived through a sense organ. Sense organ is experienced directly, and therefore that is how, so those who believe in pratyaksha, well, that the whole group of Charvakas, basically they are divided into this. Somebody says the Deha is Atma, somebody says this Prana is Atma, from breathing etc. all is experienced directly by you. And somebody says mind is Atma. Now, so verse 67 and 68 discusses this Charvaka, group of Charvakas who says mind is Atma. And he says, well, mind is superior to Prana. He is fighting to that Pranatmavadi. We are not fighting. We are just watching, like that speaker. So, why mind is superior to Prana? See, very beautiful, very brilliant. He says mind alone is able to experience Punya Papa, Sukha Dukha, etc. So, I know I am Bhokta. So, and Prana can't be the Bhokta. If Prana is Bhokta, then in Sushupti, the Bhoktrutvam should continue. And therefore, in Sushupti, Sukha Dukha experience should continue. But it doesn't continue. If Sukha Dukha experience continues, then I as experience of Sukha Dukha will be there even in the deep sleep state. But in deep sleep state, well, only Prana functions. But still the Bhoktrutvam, experiencer of Sukha Dukha, etc. Doesn't take place. And therefore, well, and that Bhokta, that is I, right? I am Bhokta, that is experience. I means Atma, and the Atma is a Bhokta. But that Bhoktrutvam is there even in absence of the Prana also. Therefore, Prana is not Atma. Very brilliant thing. Prana is not Atma. How will you prove? Because I am Bhokta, that is my experience. I means Atma. This I am talking about from Purvapakshi's angle. Don't think, Swamiji, I am not Bhokta, that is what you have taught. And now you are saying I am Bhokta. That is Purvapaksha. Purvapakshi says that I am Bhokta. Which Purvapaksha? Well, this Charvakas, philosopher. What kind of a philosopher were Charvaka? Well, Manatmavadi. One who says that mind is Atma, he argues with the Pranatmavadi. You say Prana is Atma, but that is not an experience. Atma means I. But I am Bhokta. But then Prana should be Bhokta. But if Prana is a Bhokta in a deep sleep state, the Bhoktrutvam, the experiencership, experience as an experiencer of Sukha Dukha, etc. should continue in deep sleep state. Because in deep sleep state, only Prana is functioning. If Prana is a Bhokta and that is Atma, then in deep sleep state, you should have an experience of a Sukha Dukha also. But that is not there. A very idea of I am Bhokta also is not there. And therefore, definitely, Prana is not. Because mind is absent. I mean, mind has resolved. And Prana alone is awake. Still that Bhoktrutva idea is not there. Bhokta is Atma actually. And therefore, Prana is not Atma. So, and well, this is, then what helps me to be a Bhokta? What helps? You know, when you become awake, and then when the mind is present, then you say I am Bhokta. Therefore, mind is a Bhokta. And Bhokta is ultimately I. That is Atma. Therefore, mind is Atma. That's all. This is how it is. He argues with this Pranatmavadi. So, and he gives another name for this Pranatmavadi. What he says is Upasana Paraha. Upasana Paraha. Dhyana Paraha. Well, whoever considers mind as Atma or important, well, they commit themselves to Upasana all the time. All the time to Upasana. Their mind, those who say mind alone is Atma, they commit themselves to Upasana. Here we have to say, well, they commit themselves to mind. For them, the mind alone is important. Let's say mind polishers. Okay, this is my word. Mind polishers. Because whatever you consider Atma, you keep polishing. So some people keep polishing this because the Atma is lying here. When they go with this, all this with a big and red, yellow, etc., whatever, and they purposely keep they sit like this, like that. Because they think their Atma is lying here. And then says, oh, you have beautiful nails. You feel good. Not nail is good, okay? Nail does not feel happiness. You feel happiness. So you, the Atma, is equated with these nails, okay? And therefore, same way, basically, so this also, the mind polishes, all the time polishing the mind. And therefore, manahaiva. So dhyana paraha, committing to dhyana, I'm committing to the upasana, etc., means polishing the mind. Because I can't give you any other meaning. You feel mind is Atma, means they're committing to dhyanam all the time. Could be, you can take it that way. But I consider this way, okay? So manaha Atma iti manyante. So upasana paraha, those who are mind polishers, they think, manyante. They think this manaha eva Atma. They look upon mind as a real I. And they give reason also. What reason they give for this? For the conclusion? Pranasya abhoktruta spashta. Pranasya abhoktruta. Prana is not bhokta. That is clear. Spashta. It is very clear that prana is not bhokta. How can you say prana is not a bhokta? And therefore prana is not my real nature? I am bhokta. I, the Atma, is a bhokta. Bhoktrutvam is a real nature of Atma. And prana does not have a bhoktrutvam. Well, how will you prove it? Because go to Sushupti. You think of Sushupti. Don't go to Sushupti right now. Think of Sushupti. Okay? Don't go to Sushupti. Then to whom I will talk? So, prana is very much present. Right? Prana is very much present, but there is no bhoktrutva. Therefore, prana is not bhokta. Bhoktrutvam is my real nature. Atma is bhokta. How will you say Atma is bhokta? I am bhokta. I am saying that. Everyone is telling in this world, I am bhokta. I am bhokta. So, Atma is bhokta. And prana alone is present, but still bhoktrutvam is not there. Therefore, prana is not bhokta. And therefore, prana is not Atma. Abba. Beautiful. These people, they do our job little easy for arguing them. They themselves are fighting right now. And so it's fine. So I am different from the prana. That's all. But then when bhoktrutvam comes, when the mind is awake, when mind dissolves, bhoktrutvam goes. When mind is awake, bhoktrutvam comes. And therefore mind alone is Atma. Because I am bhokta. And then mind is awake, that bhoktrutvam comes. Therefore mind is Atma. Very simple. So this is a Purvapaksha, okay? We don't say that I am bhokta, etc., or I am karta, etc. We say I am not a karta actually. But samsari, the ajnani, or this philosopher also, that who is confused, he looks upon Atma or himself as a bhokta. And for that he wants a support. He wants support, Shastra support. He is not interested in Shastra. For us, because he is arguing with us, who believe in Shastra. So they say, like, your Shastra only talks that mind is Atma. Like that. Sometimes when you want to follow adharma, when you want to do adharma, what will you say? Your Bhagavad Gita only talks about that adharma should be followed. Hey, what are you talking? What are you talking? Well, Bhagavan lastly said in the 18th chapter, verse 66, Sarva dharman parityajya. Give up all dharmas. Means you can follow adharma. So that is how, this is a beautiful thing. Give up all dharmas. Right? So if you can give up dharma, means you can do adharma. And therefore I am not wrong to do any adharma. And therefore, what I am saying is, if you want to do something, you want to justify something, you take Shastra's support. Like Vaishnavas also take a support of the same verse. Vaishnavas talk about the surrender to Ishvara, Shanagati. Right? Dasoham, dasasya dasoham. Dasasya. I am a dasa of Ishvara. So basically, the attitude of surrender. That's how Vaishnava says. And they say, look, what is the last part of the teaching of Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam. Come to me. I will, make you free from all the sins and everything. So Sharanagati is the only solution. Forget about this Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam. Be a dasa of Ishvara. Don't be like I and Paramatma is one and one. This is your ahankara. This Vedanti is the egoistic person. He is going to hell. And therefore, for all the people to justify their own philosophy, their own opinions, Shastra alone is a resort for them. Shastra talks about everything, and therefore they pick up those things. Same way, this person also, who says mind is Atma, he will definitely quotes Shastra. In verse 68, I will just mention it and then we'll stop. Verse 68. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho shruto manomaya koshaha tenatmeti ritam manaha. This is a very well known, right? Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. This is a vakya from Amrita Bindu Upanishad. And so Shruti. So the people, this Charvakas who says that mind is Atma, he quotes this Shruti. He says what? Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. Mind alone is a cause for bandha, bondage, and liberation, moksha. So mind alone is my family, my enemy, mind alone is my friend. In fact, Bhagavad Gita also you can quote. Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter. Bandhuratma manastasya yenatmai vatmana jitah. So, bandhuhu atma manaha tasya manaha bandhuhu bhavati. Bandhuhu means friend. And so, basically, this mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoham. Mind alone is an enemy and mind alone is a friend. How these opposite attributes can stay in a mind? Becomes enemy to somebody and become friend to somebody. That cannot be so. No. Amrit Bindu Upanishad says in that second line, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo, that's the first line. But then in the next line it says, Bandhaya vishaya saktam muktaye nirvishayam shrutam smrutam. So bandhaya vishaya saktam and muktaye nirvishayam smrutam. When a mind is obsessed with sense pleasures, it is enemy. And nirvishayam smrutam, a mind which has transcended these sense pleasures, it is a friend. So definitely an extroverted mind is an enemy and introvert mind is a friend. And therefore, so mind alone is a friend, mind alone is an enemy, etc. Mind alone is responsible for moksha, etc. And therefore mind alone is Atma. That's what he quotes, Amrita Bindu Upanishad. And also, Manomaya koshaha shrutam, simple. Manomaya koshaha shrutam. Shrutam. That also has been said in the Shruti. Where? In Taitira Upanishad. That Manomaya kosha is a Atma, etc. has been elaborately discussed in Taitira Upanishad. In Brahmanandvalli we know also. Anyontara Atma Manomaya. Anyontara Atma Manomaya. Manomaya is Atma. That has been discussed there. And so due to these reasons, the reasons which we gave you previously, mind is a bhokta and prana is not a bhokta. That reason we gave you in verse number 67 and in verse 68, Amrita Bindu Upanishad and this Taitira Upanishad, all these reasons prove what? Manaha Atma Iritam. Iritam, Kathitam. Mind alone is said to be Atma. By whom? By this Manatmavadi or by these Upasakas, by the mind polishers, etc. So with this we have completed 4 darshanas, right? Dehatmavadi, Pranatmavadi, Indriyatmavadi, Pranatmavadi and Manatmavadi. So 4 confusions we have narrated. And now this Bauddhas will come. So all this, now we will discuss that thing tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.